On the news tonight, House of Assembly Committee on Education hails state government for investment in tertiary institutions across the states. Work resumes after Eid al-Fitr holidays. Lagos State High Court grants Emefiele 50 million naira bail. And abroad, Biden vows to defend Philippines from China attack. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us for Delta TV News at 8. I am Blessing Usiagbada. The State House of Assembly Committee on Education has described the state as education hungry, hence the huge investment in creation of more tertiary institutions to enable Deltans get access to quality education. The chairman of the House Committee on Education, Honorable Charles Emetulu, stated this in continuation of the House Committee on Education oversight visits. Henry Usiayo reports.
Honorable Charles Emetulu and members of the committee visited the State Bursary and Scholarship Board, the State Library Board, and the Ministry of Higher Education. At the State Bursary and Scholarship Board, Honorable Emetulu urged the board to review and increase the amount of the bursary to students. Also called on the board to ensure that all other bursary and scholarship schemes not currently running are revived. The House Committee Chairman noted that the board was crucial to the more agenda of the State Governor, Honorable Sheriff Oborewori, who is a youth-friendly governor. He commended the board for discharging their duties diligently to ensure the state made provisions for the various schemes available.
I want to appeal to the three of you now. Whatever approvals you are pursuing, whatever approvals you have, you must be ready to put on your jackboots and do the legwork. I say so because I know that the Sheriff of Oborewori administration is very youth-friendly, and all those you are dealing with are basically youths.
The chairman of the State Bursary and Scholarship Board, Comrade Shedrack Agidiga, and the Executive Secretary, Dr. Godfrey Eniton, said the success recorded had not without challenges and urged the state government to lift the embargo placed on the award of some scholarship schemes. They also noted that one of the challenges was getting financial approval for scholarship for children of deceased civil servants and persons with disabilities.
Our responsibility is to manage the educational programs and schemes of this government.
The bursary scheme is ongoing, and to a very large extent we have achieved some level of success in that scheme. But these other two schemes that have been approved that are awaiting release of funds, the assistance to the students in law school and the physically challenged and children of disease servants. Those are the ones that hopefully we are.
At the State Library Board, the board chairman, Mr. Innocent Ogboro, listed some activities of the board to include encouraging reading culture, especially among children and youths, provision of facilities for training and consultancy, among others. Mr. Ogboro, however, noted that the board was faced with challenges ranging from dilapidated and deplorable state of libraries across the 25 local government areas to lack of personnel and poor funding.
The lack of adequate funding has affected the purchase of newspapers, independently by us, magazines and maintenance of equipment, etc. Funds are needed to revive the already existing deplorable branches. Now, from our tour through all the branches we went, we realized that the libraries, they are in dire need of renovation assistance. Most of them are so deplorable that you wonder whether people still come here to read. But fortunately enough, most of them we went. People were still coming to read in those deplorable libraries. It means that they have the urge, they have the mind to go to the libraries and read.
Responding, the House Committee Chairman, Honorable Emetulu, admitted that the situation in libraries across the state was pathetic and stated that reading was very crucial to the development and growth of every society. He urged the library board to diversify into digital library, while also encouraging them to draw a roadmap that will make the board proactive.
Without reading, none of us will be here. They say reading furnishes the mind, right? This is not a reading place. You can't read it the way it is today. And then, we must begin to explore opportunities of turning this place to a digital library. Digital libraries are cheaper, but you don't need to be buying books and you don't need to be.
At the Ministry of Higher Education, the Commissioner, Professor John Tunukari, pleaded with the House of Assembly to domesticate the dual mode for the colleges of education to attract students into the institutions. Professor Tunukari also urged the House Committee to empower the ministry to compel private tertiary institutions in the state to pay dues to the state coffers.
John, when you visited Mosoga, the dual mode is going to come to the House of Assembly. If it is passed, that means the colleges of education, both of them, Warri and Mosoga, they cannot admit students, more students. Right now they are suffering. Like I said, we are in charge also of the private tertiary institutions within the state, but we don't have legal power to actually go after them. They're supposed to pay a fee to the state government every year.
In his response, Honorable Charles Imetulu called for more synergy between the ministry and the House Committee on Education, while commending the ministry for sustaining its relationship with TechFund, which had consistently qualified it for intervention from the scheme.
It's important that the states are intervening and are interested in educating their people. Delta is a leading state in terms of education. It is not easy to manage 4 state-owned universities with 3 polytechnics and 2 colleges of education. I want to say that before now, the relationship between the ministry and the committee was at best 5%. I'm asking that it has to be improved.
The committee will continue its familiarization tour next week. Henry Usiayu reporting.
Workers in the state resumed work after observing the 3-day holidays declared by the federal government to mark the Eid al-Fitr celebrations by Muslims in the country. Morai Sokan, who visited the Professor Chike Doze Secretariat in Asaba, reports that workers resumed duties on schedule, with some reflecting on how they spent the holidays.
Civil servants at the State Secretariat resumed official duties as early as 8 a.m. Same with other government establishments in the state. The Secretariat was a beehive of activities as civil servants were seen carrying out their duties. The Secretariat car park was filled to capacity as civil servants arrived early to be at their duty posts. Some of the workers said the holidays gave them an opportunity to relax and bond with loved ones. They explained that after the 3 days rest, there was no reason for any civil servant not to resume duty.
We really enjoyed it. We are thinking that the holiday will take off from Wednesday to Thursday, but it started Tuesday.
I think it has been a very long break, so I know people will be eager to come and come to work. That is just it.
It's been a long holiday, 3 straight days. I think I enjoyed myself. I rested well. And I'm back to resume work fully.
The State Surveyor General, Mr. Chukwuemeka Eboka, said he was pleased with the change in attitude to work on the part of the civil servants, saying that it showed that the civil servants were committed to the success of the more agenda of the state government.
On the resumption of work, we have fully resumed it. My workers are on seats. Today is not a public holiday. Actually, we were getting tired of the thing was getting too long.
Mr. Eboka harped on the need for the government to create an environment for workers to go into farming to augment their income and ease their economic hardship.
Government knows that farming is the second thing that civil servants will do. Then they should encourage people along that line to establish farms, poultry farms, fish farms, crop farms, and then provide facilities too for them to be able to run those farms. Because as a civil servant, you're not supposed to do any other business apart from farming. And farming is good, so that you get extra income to support it, because whatever you're getting here it's not enough, because the businessmen outside increase the costs of their goods. When you increase the cost of your tomato, another person will increase the cost of okra. But the civil servant has nothing to sell for him to increase his cost to match up with the increase outside.
Meanwhile, some of the workers have decried diminishing purchasing power of the naira, as their salaries could no longer cater for their needs. They called on the government to look into the issue of minimum wage bill.
The long-awaited wage increase should be considered, considering the fact that inflation has overtaken the current wage bills. The salaries can no longer take workers home.
Workers have fully resumed for the day's activities, and they are calling on the government to create avenues to reduce work stress and also encourage them to work effectively. Mora is super reporting.
The state government has enjoined owners of private healthcare facilities to register their facilities with the State Ministry of Health before commencing operation. Commissioner for Health, Dr. Joseph Onajeme, gave the advice in Sapele while inspecting private healthcare facilities operating in the area as part of ongoing verification of registration status of private health facilities in the state. Dr. Onajeme, who was represented during the exercise by the Deputy Director, Department of Medical Services and Training in the Ministry, Dr. Matthew Anibo, gave an assurance that government will continue to improve the well-being of residents through regular inspection of health facilities. He explained that it was mandatory for new facilities to be registered with government before commencing operations, while existing registered healthcare facilities must renew their operational licenses with the State Ministry of Health annually. The Commissioner added that the verification exercise was not to hunt anyone, but to ensure that health facilities complied with the law in their operations. He said the verification exercise has led to the sealing of 54 defaulting health facilities and decried owners on sealing of sealed health facilities. Dr. Onajeme appealed to health professional bodies to prevail on members not to contravene the law in their operations. The Executive Assistant in Communications to the State Governor and Head of the State Orientation Bureau, Dr. Latimo Ogenesiwe, has attributed the finality of peaceful resolution of the long-standing Alaja and Ogbejo boundary dispute in Udu and Wari Southwest local government areas to Governor Sheriff Oboriwari's good leadership skills. Dr. Ogenesiwe stated this in an interview with a journalist. He said the enhanced peace and security encapsulated in the MOA agenda of the governor had started yielding results, describing a final peace accord signed between the communities as a welcome development and a good legacy of the governor's administration. Dr. Ogenesiwe noted that the crisis resisted all known alternative dispute resolution mechanism until Governor Oboriwari took proactive steps by adopting previous undisputed land agreement and most importantly, acquired the encumbered boundary areas between the Alaja and Ogbejo communities. He explained that the state government's deliberate acquisition of the disputed boundary areas of the two communities nailed the deal, thereby ending the over 2 decades land dispute, which defied genuine efforts of previous administrations since the creation of Delta State. The executive assistant commended Governor Boriwari for working with traditional rulers, security agencies, senior government officials, stakeholders, and community leaders to ensure that peace was finally restored to the communities. On the Okwama killings, Dr. Ogenesiwe said the governor handled the crisis with deep reasoning and well-calculated diplomacy, tact, and maturity, noting that the incident came as a rude shock and a major distraction from the governor's focus on socio-economic and infrastructure development across the state. The Minister of Power, Dr. Adebayo Adelabu, has said the federal government is still paying subsidy on electricity despite the recent hike in tariff paid by Band A customers. Dr. Adelabu stated this when he appeared on a television program. He said the government had budgeted about 1.8 trillion naira to pay in electricity subsidy for this year. Dr. Adelabu said the Electricity Act 2023 made provisions for the review of tariff twice a year, adding that review of tariff is legal once it is within the exclusive responsibility of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. Recall that on April 3, the NEC raised electricity tariff for customers enjoying 20 hours power supply daily. Customers in this category are said to be under the Band A classification. The increase will see the customers paying 225 naira per hour, current 60 naira, a development that has been heavily criticized by many Nigerians, considering the immediacy of the tariff hike and the current hardship in the country. The minister assured Band A customers of value for their money, stressing that consumers on other bands would not be shortchanged by distribution companies, as regulators won't hesitate to wield the big stick on any of such discourse. A high court sitting in Ikeja, Lagos, has granted a 50 million naira bill to the former Central Bank of Nigeria CBN Governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele. Justice Ramon Oshodi ruled on the bail application granting Mr. Emefiele bail with the condition of providing 2 sureties for the same amount. The former governor of the CBN is facing a 26-count charge that is related to accusations of office misuse. The Economic Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, had earlier arraigned Mr. Emefiele and Mr. Henry Omole, his co-defendant, on Monday before Justice Ramon Oshodi. Both defendants entered a not guilty plea to the 26 charges. The National Agency for Food and Drugs Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has alerted Nigerians of the sale of counterfeit Tandac injection, 1.5 grams powder, and water for injection. It said the product was discovered in Gombe State and was reported to the agency by Maxine Healthcare Limited, the marketing authorization holder. In a statement, NAFDAC noted that the product was manufactured by Intrasyn Pharmaceuticals in Gujarat, India. Differentiating the original product from the counterfeit product, the agency said the batch number of the original product is BN23P24, while the counterfeited has 22P21 as its batch number. The original was manufactured in August 2023 and will expire in July 2025, while the fake was manufactured in May 2022 and will expire in August 2026. It said the original brand has a hologram on the primary carton, but the counterfeited brand does not have it. A mobile authentication service label is present in the original product, but it is photocopied or scanned in the fake product. The agency added that the original product had a green cap on the vial, while the cap on the vial of the fake one is white. It also noted that while the leaflet insert is present in the original product, the fake product has none. Governor Sheriff Oboriwari has congratulated Niger Delta activist and ex-militant leader, Chief Government Ekpemekulu, on his 53rd birth anniversary. In a statement by his Chief Press Secretary, Sir Festus Anho, Governor Oboriwari said Chief Ekpemekulu, popularly known as Tompolo, remained an illustrious son of the Niger Delta, who has contributed immensely to the peace and development of the region and the country at large. He said, as chairman of the Tantita Security Services, Chief Ekpemekulu had used his position to fight oil theft in the Niger Delta, a development that contributed immensely to the nation's increased oil production and revenue generation. Governor Brewery said governments of the states in the Niger Delta, as well as the federal government, will continue to appreciate the efforts of the celebrants for ensuring peace and security of the region and the country in general. While describing Chief Ekpemekulu as a man of peace who partnered with regional administrations to uphold harmony, Governor Brewery prayed God to bless him with good health and wisdom to continue in his services to the country and humanity. In a related development, the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, the Right Honorable Imamotimi Guo, has congratulated Chief Government Ekpemekulu on his 53rd birth anniversary. In a statement by his Chief Press Secretary, Mr. Nkemweke, the Speaker described Chief Ekpemikolo as a legendary leader whose guidance, wisdom, and inspiration had shaped lives in the society. He commended Chief Ekpemikolo for securing the nation's oil and gas resources, a development which earned him several awards from government and private establishments. He then urged the Niger Delta activists to remain focused on promoting peace, equity, fair play, and sustainable development in the country. The Anambra State Command of the Nigerian Police Force has said it will conduct an exhaustive investigation into the boat mishap that claimed the life of actor Gino Pope and 4 others. A statement released by the command spokesperson, Mr. Tochukwu Ikenga, said the investigation will be carried out to ascertain the criminal liability of any person in the mishap. Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Police in the state, CP Aderemi Adeoye, has extended his heartfelt condolences to the families of actors who lost their lives as a result of a boat accident which occurred on the River Niger on Wednesday. The boat, one of 2 that conveyed the crew to a film location in Anambra West local government, was returning to Asaba, where it took off from when the accident happened. On being notified of the capsize, Anambra State Command Marine Police deployed for rescue operations and successfully rescued 6 actors and 1 actress from the water. 2 others who were conscious were also pulled out with the aid of fishermen and conveyed to the Delta State Command Marine Police jetty, where other members of the crew who traveled in the first boat were waiting, and handed over to the president of the Actors View, Mr. Emeka Rolas, for conveyance to the hospital, while the rescue team went back in search of 3 others who are still missing as at the time of this release. This is Delta TV News at 8. Still to come, Biden vows to defend Philippines from China attack. Details of this story and many more will come after this short break. Please stay tuned.
Congratulations, congratulations. The management and staff of Tantita Security Services Nigeria Limited heartily congratulate our boss, High Chief Government Owezide Ekpemupolo, aka Tompolo, GOC, the Odokori Dokodo one of Niger Delta, and the Izoembi Yowe of the Niger Delta on his 53rd birthday. High Chief Government Ekpemupolo, your privileged position to fight oil theft in the Niger Delta has immensely contributed to the increased oil production with its attendant benefits on the revenue generation of Nigeria. As you celebrate your 53rd birth anniversary, it is our prayers that God continue to bless you with more wisdom to pilot the affairs of Tantita Security Services Nigeria Limited, and also the wisdom to continue to serve the nation and humanity. Once again, happy 53rd birthday, High Chief Government Ekpemupolo, the Odokori Dokodo of the Niger Delta. This message is powered by the management and staff of Tantita Security Services Nigeria Limited.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying tuned. The global scene is next as we join our world news desk.
The United States President, Mr. Joe Biden, has vowed that the country will defend the Philippines from any attack in the South China Sea, calling its support for Manila ironclad. Mr. Biden's comments come amid regular skirmishes and rising tensions between Chinese and Philippine Coast Guard vessels in the disputed waterway. The U.S. and Philippines have had a mutual defense treaty in place since 1951. China has repeatedly blamed the U.S. for raising tensions in the region. Speaking at the start of three-way talks at the White House with Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida and Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., Mr. Biden said any attack on Philippines aircraft, vessels, or armed forces in the South China Sea would invoke its Mutual Defense Treaty. The South Africa's Electoral Commission has appealed to the country's constitutional court after judges this week overturned a ban on former President Jacob Zuma standing in the forthcoming election. The commission had barred his candidacy, arguing that the constitution bars from public office people who have been sentenced to more than 12 months in prison. Mr. Zuma was given 15 months for contempt of court in 2021, though he only served 3 months in jail. Earlier this week, South Africa's Electoral Court overturned that ruling but did not publish its reasoning. The Electoral Commission had now asked the country's highest court to provide legal clarification on the issue. In a statement, officials said there was substantial public interest in providing certainty on the interpretation of the relevant law. Ukraine has inaugurated an embassy in Ivory Coast a day after opening a similar one in the Democratic Republic of Congo, as part of Kyiv's effort to expand its presence on the continent. Ukraine's Special Envoy for Africa and the Middle East, Mr. Maxim Souk, stated this during the event in Ivory Coast capital, Abidjan. He said a brilliant new chapter has been added to the history of Ukrainian Africa and Ukrainian Ivorian relations. Mr. Souk also expressed appreciation for Ivory Coast's support for Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity, including voting in favor of key United Nations resolutions on the large-scale Russia invasion. The Ukrainian Special Envoy is on a tour of various African countries to open several embassies to counter Russia's influence on the continent. In March, the Democratic Republic of Congo opened a consulate office in Kyiv's region.
Now let's join our business news desk for happenings in the business sector.
The foreign exchange opened today after the holidays, with the Naira exchanging with the US dollar at 1,130 Naira at the parallel market. This represents 0.88% depreciating over 1,120 Naira per dollar exchange during the holidays. Traders attributed the fluctuation in exchange rates to the irregularities of trading volumes during the holiday season. With banks closed for the festivities, transactions occurred sporadically, leading to deviations from standard market rates. Traders emphasized that the rates quoted during the holidays were not representative of normal market conditions, as transactions were limited. The currency dealers emphasized that the rates witnessed during the holiday period, with some transactions quoted as low as 900 Naira, were not indicative of the true market rates. Nigeria's crude oil production witnessed a second consecutive monthly decline since the beginning of this year, as it dropped to 1.231 million barrels per day in March, according to the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC. OPEC disclosed this in its latest monthly oil market report for April 2024, stating that crude oil production details, which it got through direct communication from Nigeria, showed that the country pumped less oil in March when compared to what was produced in February. Data from the report indicated that Nigeria produced 1.322 million barrels per day of crude in February this year, but this dropped to 1.231 million barrels per day in March, representing a plunge of 91 million barrels per day. The report further stated that the country had produced 1.427 million barrels per day of crude in January, but this was not sustained in February, as it dropped in that month, while the southward oil production continued in March. OPEC data, however, showed that the country's average crude oil production in the first quarter of 2024 was 1.327 million barrels per day, higher than the 1.313 million barrels per day average oil production in the fourth quarter of 2023. Nigeria's first quarter oil output in 2024 was also higher than the 1.201 million barrels per day average production in the third quarter of last year. Oil theft and pipeline vandalism have dealt severe blows in Nigeria's oil production, limiting the country's output and making it fall below the volume approved for Nigeria by OPEC.
And in sports, the board of the Nigerian Football Federation, NFF, has appointed coach Manu Garba as head coach of the Golden Eaglets. Coach Garba had in the same role led the Golden Eaglets to win the FIFA Under-17 World Cup in the United Arab Emirates in 2013, which was Nigeria's fourth triumph at that stage. His world conquering squad in 2013 included Kelechi Iheanacho, Taiwo Awoniyi, Isaac Success, Musa Mohammed, Chidebere Wakali, and goalkeeper Dele Alampasu. The squad, which finished as runner-ups at the African Under-17 Championship in Morocco after a penalty shootout by Cote d'Ivoire, defeated Mexico 6-1 in their opening game, drew 3-3 with Sweden, and hammered Iraq 5-0. In the round of 16, Iran ragged 4-1, dispatched Uruguay 2-0 in the quarterfinals, and trounced Sweden 3-0 in the semifinals before they dislodged Mexico by the same margin in the final to lift the trophy. The former Nigeria international will now immediately resume the role and take charge of the team's preparations for the next month's WAFU B Under-17 Championship holding in Ghana. And that's our news. Now our thoughts for the day. People will forget what you said, forget what you did, but will never forget how you made them feel. And before we go, let's take a look at some of our major stories. The State House of Assembly Committee on Education has described the state as education hungry, hence the huge investment in creation of more tertiary institutions to enable Deltans get access to quality education. The chairman of the House Committee on Education, Honorable Charles Emetulu, stated this in continuation of the House Committee on Education Oversight visits. Workers in the state resumed work after observing the 3-day public holidays declared by the federal government to mark the Eid al-Fitr celebrations by Muslims in the country. Mora Isopan, who visited the Professor Chike Adoze Secretariat in Asaba, reports that workers resumed duties on schedule, with some reflecting on how they spent the holidays. A High Court sitting in Ikeja, Lagos, has granted a 50 million naira bill to the former Central Bank of Nigeria CBN Governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele. Justice Rahman Oshodi ruled on the bail application, granting Mr. Emefiele bail with the condition of providing 2 sureties for the same amount. We also reported that the United States President, Mr. Joe Biden, has vowed that the country will defend the Philippines from any attack in the South China Sea, calling its support for Malina ironclad. That ends Delta TV News at 8. Thank you so much for watching. I am Blessing Usiagwada. Have a wonderful night rest.